Fit Life SD TV, where we are bringing you the science of nutrition and fitness. And today we're going to continue our series on weightlifting safety and proper procedures. And so today what we're going to be dealing with is how to know if a movement is bad for your shoulders. And we're going to give you one key thing to look for, that instead of having to learn 20 different exercises that are bad, if you look for this one little thing your shoulder is doing, it's going to help you determine really quickly if you should be doing a movement or not. So just stay tuned and we'll take you right through it. All right guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to show the upright row. First we're going to show you the wrong way. We're going to show you the difference, so pay attention to what his shoulders are doing. And then we're going to show you an alternative that's going to get his shoulders not to do that. So go ahead and demonstrate an upright row the way people would normally do it. Okay, come back down. Now if you missed it, there's a term that we call internal rotation of the shoulder. Now his clavicles right here, which is his collarbone, that runs into his subacromial space. There's a lot of tissue that runs in there. When you start to internally rotate your shoulder, a lot of that can kind of get caught up in there. It can cause bruising, it can cause scar tissue to build because it's getting damaged. So when you see the shoulder start to internally rotate, especially when you're doing it with load, a lot of times that's going to cause problems that are going to continually grind away, and it's going to become a permanent problem in the future. So what we got to do is, if we want to do an upright row, we got to find a way to do it without internally rotating the shoulder. So one thing he can do is get a much wider grip, and when he lifts it, don't come to where his elbows start pointing to the ceiling. Try to come to an even plane. And if he does it right, there should be a lot less internal rotation. So let's go ahead and demonstrate. See, so now his shoulders are more going out, but they're not internally rotating in. So this is going to be a safer alternative for this exercise. So that's the internal rotation of shoulders. Keep an eye on that, and then we're going to show you a couple more movements where you can look out for that. So the next movement we're going to cover is going to be the lateral raises. Very popular movement that's going to help isolate the medial delt. That's where you're going to get a lot of mass. However, some of the techniques people use because they claim it can isolate it a lot better isn't worth the trade-off. And that's where we talk about dumping the bucket technique. So let's go ahead and demonstrate the way people normally do with that. So if you guys noticed it, you should see his shoulder internally rotating right there. All right, inside there's things closing, there's things that are becoming tight.
Yeah, you heard that, right?
Yeah. So if you don't have problems, you will. And if you have problems, you'll know it right away when you do this, okay? So what we gotta do is we gotta do something similar. So what I like to do is go with a neutral grip. And if the people that want the other way done say that you're not getting as much isolation, so what does that mean? You might have to do it 2 weeks longer to get a little bit bigger, but at least you'll still have your shoulder joint intact at the end of the journey, right? So we're gonna show it, demonstrate with a neutral grip, the safe way to do this exercise. So right there you see it's just lifting to the side, but it's not turning in, okay? It should be free of pain. Sometimes people already had shoulder injuries and they have a lot of scar tissue that even going neutral is not good enough. So sometimes they gotta continue to do things to open up that subacromial space. So what we're gonna do next, we're gonna show that the alternative you would do if you already have shoulder problems, and even that's an issue for you. So what we're gonna do is, instead of a neutral, we're just gonna open it all the way up. He's gonna demonstrate, and this is how we're gonna do it. Right there with the shoulders totally open, a lot of space. That's the safest way to do that one. I prefer the neutral, but this one is just as good. And trust me, if you do this right, your shoulders will rip. So the next thing we're gonna cover is the bench press. Now this one's gonna be a little tricky because you can do it the right way and the wrong way, and if you're not paying close attention, they could look very similar, okay? But pretty much the wrong way is gonna be when you just hold the bar, you're coming straight up, straight down, you're not really paying attention to what you're doing with it. If you're benching too high and you got your elbows too flared, it's gonna cause some internal rotation under load. It's gonna cause a lot of pain and discomfort, and eventually it's gonna grind away at something that might become permanent. So we're gonna demonstrate with Kira over here, the wrong way first, and you're gonna see a lot of people in the gym doing this. Alrighty, benching over the shoulders, they're starting to internally rotate. His elbows are too flared. His arms are not vertical. His forearms are not vertical. So this is causing a problem. So let's re-rack. Okay. Now what we're gonna do to compensate for that, again, it's hard to see with the eye, but if you just make believe like you're breaking the bar, even though you can't really bend it, that little bit of movement is gonna trigger a little bit of space to open up. For most people that have healthy shoulders, that should be enough to do it safely. So we're gonna look at the difference with him doing it the right way. As he breaks the bar, all of a sudden his forearms become more vertical, his elbows become more in line, and the shoulders are not internally rotating. So instead of the weight of the bar all resting on his shoulder joint, it's actually the muscles, the triceps, the shoulder muscles, and the pecs doing the work. Go ahead and re-rack. So what happens when people have a lot of shoulder injuries and even breaking the bar is not good for them? Some people really can't do a regular bench press just because of previous trauma. Well, there's still a way they could bench press. One of them, everyone knows that they could use dumbbells, because with dumbbells you can open your shoulders up all the way to reverse if you want. But if you really want to still use a bar, there's something we can use, it's called a Swiss bar, and I'm gonna demonstrate. We're gonna change this one out. So this right here is a Swiss bar. They make them differently. Some of them will have slanted grips going through, some of them will be all straight. This one's a combination. But this will give you more of an organic bench press feel if that's what you're after, because you're still dispersing the weight upon a bar, but you can hold it with a neutral grip, which should really open up the shoulders. So I'm gonna place this on the rack. Here's gonna demonstrate how to do a proper bench press. And this really takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, because it's almost impossible to internally rotate your shoulders with this bar. Yep. Perfect neutral grip. Shoulders are nice and open, space is cleared, it's good to glide and just pump out the reps. Swiss bar is a little bit hard to get used to at first, but if you prefer it because of shoulder injuries, it's a very safe way on the shoulders to accomplish the bench press. There we go. Hope you guys learned a lot, and there's some subtle changes that we got to make sure we pay attention to. And the reason why it's so important is because if you load it up and you do it wrong one time, yeah, you might get a warning and a wake-up call. But what's even worse is to bench press or do upright rows for 10 years and you start to develop issues that you didn't know where really they came from, and you found out you did it to yourself a little bit every week. So you don't want that to happen. So these are very subtle changes that can do very subtle injuries that can build up. We want to really avoid that. So doing it the right way, the way that's pain-free, what feels natural, is really what we're supposed to do, not what the greatest guru out there tells you to do. So at the end of the day, remember, don't listen to those gurus, don't listen to us, listen to your body. If it's wrong, your body's gonna let you know. We're just trying to help you find a way to do a little bit more correctly so you can figure that out for yourself. So if you have any questions, send us a DM. Make sure if you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe. We'll have more for you next time.